Yes, good evening and welcome to the Hill Conversations. And like indicated yesterday, so this week we'll be having these discussions every day until Friday. And this is because on Friday we expect the Minister of Finance to present the national budget for 2021. And it is the objective of these discussions this week to make sure that the young people and the general population could get interested in understanding what the minister will be presenting, and then also for them to get an opportunity to see how they can engage with the budget. The budget being the document for the people and by the people. We do hope that these conversations will be very helpful in understanding what the budget is and obviously how we can engage. This evening, I'll be speaking to James Mwenda. James Mwenda is a youth from Livingstone, Southern Province, and he will be presenting to us his budget. And he has about 20 minutes of presentation, and then after that, we'll ask him questions about the budget and how we feel, how he came up with whatever he's going to present to us. So, James Mwenda, you are on. You can continue. You can start your presentation.
Thank you. Good evening, Pilar.
Good evening.
So privileged to be given this.
Is that my guest with bad network?
Yeah, your network is bad.
Everyone has issues with the network. Whoever I invite has issues with the network. So you can continue. You are there. You can continue.
All right. Like I was saying, I'm privileged to represent the youth of Livingstone. So, without wasting much of your time, like the topic that we have right now is talking both about inequality and how we are supposed to deal with our economy currently. I need to make mention that currently the Gini index coefficient or the same thing, index and coefficient are the same thing, of Zambia right now, we are sitting at 0.57. What that means is the level between those that are rich and those that are poor is the average is 0.57. So what does that tell us? We are imbalanced because if we're going to talk about balance, it has to be at least 1. But look at how far we are from 1. According to the JCTR report for last year, I couldn't find the one for this year, but for last year, it was an organization focusing on. I'm back on, right?
Yeah, you froze, okay, but then.
Yeah, so it focuses on how the Zambian citizens, at least a family of 5, and how they manage.
Okay, you're back.
Okay, yeah. So it made a statement saying a family of 5 can survive on at least 7,000 60 kwacha. That is rent, school fees, food, and other necessities that we might look at. And now the question is, we're given 7,000 60 kwacha. How much is minimum wage in Zambia? Minimum wage currently we are sitting at 1,600 kwacha. Are we seeing the gap there?
Yeah.
So it is because of this gap that made me draw down my budget, which I was focusing on mostly what are people lacking currently in our country. Before, I feel this is what our leaders are supposed to ask themselves before they actually start making the budget. What is it that we are making? It's not just a budget for a house where groceries are finished in the house and you're able to look at, say, sugar, CDB and all those things. So they need to ask themselves first, what is it that we're lacking? And I managed to ask some people on some of the personal challenges that they're facing, and currently we have little disposable income. There's no employment in Zambia. Our education is not that much. The health of our Zambian people is not as standard as it's supposed to be. And mostly, and most important, is the standard of living generally. Now, most of you will agree with me saying the purpose for us to create the budget is we have to ensure that it fits mostly in it, because we are Zambians and there's no other country. By virtue of being called Zambian, you have to benefit. It has to benefit.
Sorry, you froze for a bit. Can you just go a little bit? The purpose of a budget. Start from where the purpose of the budget.
Okay, so the purpose of the budget is that it has to represent us as a Zambian. You have to benefit. It can't make sense for you as a household living in a house as a family, and whenever they're making the budget, it doesn't benefit you. You're well off not staying in that house. So I focused mostly on my budget. On my budget, I focused mostly on the debt that we have, our health system, the education that we have, economical affairs and development, and environmental protection, and most important, since we are youth and we're talking about youth empowerment. So I also added a segment for youth empowerment. So I'll draw into my budget. So currently we're sitting at a lot of debt as Zambia, and according to the CTPD, Zambia is sitting on at least 90% of the GDP. So it is because of that reason I thought we need to tackle much on the debt that we are facing as a country, because what I'm seeing in the future, what I'm foreseeing in the future is that this will make a hardship living, or there'll be some type of issues right now. So in my budget, I took an approximate amount, which was it's not the exact amount, but last year they used 100 billion kwacha when they were making last year's budget.
100 billion kwacha. 100 billion kwacha.
Pardon?
100 billion kwacha.
Yeah.
No, billion kwacha. Okay, good.
Yeah.
Okay.
So our debt has been made in such a way such that we have loans, especially the euro bonds. Let's focus mostly on the euro bonds. The first euro bond that we have is going to be it's going to mature on the 20th of September 2020. Then the second bond that we have, the first bond that we have is 750 million US dollars. Then the second bond that we have is $1 billion, which is going to be matured in April 2024. Then the third bond that we have, it will be paid in installments. The first installment will be in July 2025. Then the second installment will be in July 2026. And the last installment will be paid in 2027. So what does this tell you? You agree with me that currently we've been told for some reason we'll be taxed highly because some money has to be reserved for us to pay the bond, because I don't think there's any way of us asking for forgiveness for those bonds, because it is money that has been given to us and it was given as a loan. So meaning we just have to pay it back. So by virtue of saying so, you would agree saying this year we have COVID. So I can't say we've had much production that has gone through into the country, or much activities concerning the production of income or income generating activities. Next year, we're having elections. So I doubt if we'll focus mostly on developing aspects of the nation. Then in 2022, the loan will mature. Okay, so pardon. What does this show you? It's showing you that there's a bit of uncertainty. We're having a bit of uncertainty, and on top of those uncertainties, the kwacha is devaluing. All right. So if the kwacha is devaluing, it's meaning it's losing its value by day. So currently, I think today the dollar is at 20.02, and we are low on the reserves. So meaning we would have to spend more kwacha for us to pay those dollars. By virtue of saying so, the Zappa said did an article last year in 2019 in December, where they discussed or suggested 3 options that were irrelevant for the government to take when it comes to paying the debt. And I can't manage to mention the 4 of them or the 3 of them, but I'll mention the one that really made sense to me, because it seemed like a fair deal if we were to take it up as a government. It's called the bond buyback. The bond buyback is a situation where we pay back the bond at its value amount, at its face value, as we call it in economics. It's face value. So how it is this: if today or this year before it matures, or even next year before it matures, we say we allocate a certain percentage to it, that we cover this amount, the face value of this bond is at $500 million. Okay, instead of us returning the $750 million, we'll return a $500 million, making us, we are saving a $250 million, which can be allocated to other sectors in the country. We can actually even pay domestic debt, and we can also pay manage to cushion, because these others that we have from the year 2024 up to the ones that we have up to 2026, all these debts we have to pay them through coupon. Now what that means is, since we're paying through coupon, each year we'll be cutting amount of money as we are paying back to the bondholders. Meaning, in the last year, so say if we fail to pay this one according to the Zappa, which is we fail to do the bond buyback, we tell ourselves, okay, we're going to pay when it matures. This would mean this year would have to spend a certain amount of money dedicated to the bond, and then next year again we'll pay a certain amount of money. Then in the last year we'll pay the same amount of money that we're paying now, plus the principal amount that was given to us. So I think, looking at the uncertainty that we have, doing or going the direction of a bond buyback would be the best option. My next item on my budget was health. Okay, now when I stay in Livingstone, I need to make mention that as you live in Livingstone, there's a town called Kazungula. It's like 75 kilometers away from Livingstone. Now, what's funny about Kazungula is, within these 75 kilometers, there are people that live in those rural areas, and you agree with me that health is something that we all need as a necessity. There's a meeting I went to, I think 2 months ago, where a man said the COVID has come at a good time, where it's a blessing to Zambia. His point was, the government has not focused much on improving the health sector in the country. The government has focused mostly on issues to do with what pleases them, for lack of better terms. And health has never been one of them, because they have always known that in in case of emergencies, they rush to countries abroad to go for medication. But since we've had the COVID, if you're sick, you're treated by the same Zambian doctors that you've had. What does that tell you? We were supposed to invest in health issues and health matters before we even go to this level. Our government was supposed to be so confident in the medical sector that we have in Zambia, and like what happens when we have any of these government officials that or has to be flown to South Africa or whatever it is that they think pleases them. So, by virtue of saying so, I put up a certain amount of percentage from the amount that was allocated in the budget, and my allocation for health, the health was 15%. That's what I felt was really supposed to be the issue here. Why did I do so? Because I feel as a nation we need to.
No, I'm taking notes. I'm taking notes. I'm taking notes.
Okay, so as a nation, a healthy nation is a developing nation, you know. So I allocated 15% of that because to me, it breaks my heart to read news or to find myself reading articles on how there's a shortage of medicine in the country, whereas we pay a lot of taxes, I think, at this point, and we deserve to have some facilities. Some facilities just need to be there, you know. So by us having such a percentage in the budget, it would mean we'll have more health cares in the rural areas. It's so heartbreaking to see someone that is unwell traveling a distance for up to 20 kilometers away from their home when they are sick. When some of us are privileged, just say in Lusaka, where you have the greatest road that has about 8 hospitals, at least within the space range of 1 kilometer. I don't know how many kilometers it is. So it would be a great thing to have if we invested much in health and we make a health policy as part of living. You know what I mean? We don't need to have the high cost and the low cost. It's one Zambia. I mean, you know what I mean? Then, if we invest much on the health also, it is going to reduce the ratio of doctor to patient ratio that we have right now. Most of the hospitals that we have don't have enough doctors. Some don't actually have doctors per se because they are in rural areas and most doctors deny. But if we say we invest much, it would also encourage the doctors to work in there. And when we have a healthy nation, individuals will supply more working hours, will be fit to work more hours, meaning our country will be benefiting and developing. The most necessity, which is the third element on my budget, is education.
Mm-hmm.
The main goal of education is to increase the level of literacy in the country.
How much? What percentage are you giving to education?
15%.
15.
Okay.
So you have 30%. You have 70% to spend.
Yeah. How much did I say for education?
You said 15 education, 15 for health.
Health, I said 15. Sorry, education is 20.
Education is 20. Okay.
Yeah. And the reason being I put it at 20 is because you and me will agree that the literacy levels of people in our country is really low. It is a mandate that we have the highest level of literacy level in our country, because when we have enough educated people, it will be easy for us to question the government on how most of the things are happening. We'll be able to ensure that we are kept accountable of how much is being used in the budget. There won't be issues to do with hidden costs. Someone will be able to understand what inflation is. Someone will be able to understand what depression of the currency is, and the literacy level will just rise. And mostly, it is important for the government to ensure that our students are kept well. You know what I mean? We've been told we are the future leaders of tomorrow, but I always deny because the future is now, and it is us to make the decision now that will determine what future it is that we are talking about. By virtue of saying so, a lot of students have had enough stress when it comes to payment of their fees, how they are fed, how they are fed, and etc. etc. Looking at the COVID issue, we had students that couldn't actually pay their school fees then when we didn't have COVID. Now, on top of COVID, we even have e-learning. You know what I mean?
James,
So,
you've exceeded 20 minutes. Would you be in a position to conclude your budget so we can allow people to ask you questions?
okay, that's one thing. Two things, two elements. So the other element was the economical affair and development, which the main thing that I wanted to focus on was to stimulate aggregate demand, which simply means, the economy can't be healed completely, but we can cushion where we can. We can make it better where we can, And the other point is that diversification is one element that almost every economist fight for in a country, and that is one thing that I fight for as well. Because currently that we have, like I mentioned in the beginning of my speech, we have low reserve income bases, and our culture is depreciating because we've put all our eggs in one basket, which is the mining sector. About 70% of the forex that we have in the country is focused on mines. Well, as we can say, 56% of our land is very nutritious for farming. We might as well diversify our economy into agriculture and make Zambia a hub for agriculture in the southern region. I think I have a lot of things to say, but my time is up.
Yeah. So obviously the people have heard your presentation, and I know we didn't have enough time for you. Before I pick any question, I don't think there is any question. There are just people acknowledging that they are watching. The question I would like to ask you is what principles, especially when you talk about the education sector, the health sector, why would you put so much money in the health sector and not give it to the police and the army? Or how much allocation are you allocating to the Zambia Army, Zambia Air Force, the police? How much are you allocating to that? And why would you allocate that amount of money to the police and the army? And why would you allocate 15 to the health sector?
Okay, so last year's budget, the government actually increased the amount of percentage that they put into defense, which was raised from 5% to 5.8%. For me, I don't think that was really necessary for them to increase that percentage because, I feel as a country we have really important issues that we need to focus on, and health is one of those important issues that we need to focus on. We need healthy living people for us to work towards the development of the country, and it is very important for us to ensure that the medicine is made available, and there are enough hospitals, we have enough facilities that would accommodate most of our patients in the country. So it is to that I decided to have my health sector given 15%, because a healthy nation, like I said, a healthy nation is a developing nation. We'll have enough manpower and they'll be ready to work.
The 50% of, I don't know if it's more than 50%, but 50% of Zambian budget goes to paying salaries. How would you deal with that?
Okay, so you see, that's a lot of expense for a budget that we have. I feel we can find a way of how to diversify the money that we put into salaries only into
You are the minister of finance. You are the minister of finance here. Tell us the way of finding those ways.
Okay, so
we need to say yes. Okay, this is how we're going to do this. This is how we're going to do this.
You didn't give me that position yet. This is when you're giving it.
Minister, I told the people that James is now our minister of finance. He'll be presenting the budget.
Oh, you told this way. Okay. Okay, so 50% of the budget going to civil servants, I feel we are spending a lot on just salaries. Quite right. We have to pay those workers because, or the civil servants because they have families as well and they need to survive at the end of the day. So we would diversify our economy and come up with strategic projects that would gain income for us. Say per province, we can find projects that can be created that could help raise funds for our civil servants. I feel money that is gotten from the budget should not only focus on expenses, but we need to find a way of production, ensuring that there's a lot of production that is going on than the expenses that we have.
So, like I said, me and my viewers will be referring to you as a minister of finance for the purpose of this program. So, your solutions must be clear enough for those that are watching. And the purpose for this is to allow you to share your views on how you feel the budget should represent and should work for you. So the Chipangano, there's a question from Chipangano Zulu. Mr. Finance, Mr. Minister of Finance, Nombamu budget, why isn't any money allocated to technological advances, especially in the mining and industrial sector, to cut down the cost of production to increase profits?
Okay, so I just didn't have enough time to finish my presentation of the budget, but as part of diversifying our economy, technology was one of them. Looking at, we've had enough youth and enough Zambians that have been quite innovative in terms of technology. You agree with me that we have probably had a lot of applications, a lot of software that have been developed between 2015 and 2020. So by virtue of saying so, the technology advancement and in the mining and industrial sector was part of my diversification plan or policy, which we allocated in the economic affairs and development, which was at 20%.
How do you plan to industrialize Zambia?
Okay, how we plan to industrialize Zambia is one, to ensure that we encourage the infant industries that might be starting, okay, and also how do we intend to encourage those infant industries? By ensuring that we encourage our newly entered firms by policies that would encourage them in terms of taxes. Most of the people that have tried to enter the industrial sector, or in the development of the industrialization, have been pushed away by most of these big firms that can manage to pay their taxes freshly, and most of these bills that we've had from the government. So how we intend to promote industrialization is, firstly, we'll encourage the new firms by waiving out most of the taxes up to a certain level of years. When they break even, that's when they start paying their taxes, and from there we ensure that we also help cushion their income as well, by their capital. I mean, by giving them certain allocation of money from the economic affairs and development, to ensure that the industrialization is boosted up.
Okay. I think you somehow a little vague in your proposal of how we will make money as a country. So you had sufficiently told us of our debt obligations, where we're supposed to pay out debt. Are you in a position to guide us on how we will raise money enough to spend on the health sector, education sector, and all these other sectors that you couldn't mention, and then still have money enough to buy back the bonds? And mind you, we still have debt with China, so which we need to pay. How would you propose? What are you proposing as the way of us raising enough money to run our country and affairs of the country, and then still also be able to pay back the debt within this period of 12 months that you are proposing this budget for?
Okay, so as I made mention earlier, the main area in Zambia in which we collect revenue is mines, which is about 75%. Apart from mines, we have the collection of taxes from both borders and from personal taxes, and we have toll gates, but those are not efficient enough to ensure that we cater for all the bonds in time, and also manage to pay for the Chinese loans that we have. And hence, knowing we don't have that amount of money, will ensure that we diversify our economy. Knowing we have 56% of our of our land, which is very nutritious, I think I mentioned this point. It would be very important that we encourage our farmers that we have in Zambia, and put up. We've already assigned up a percentage of money, so we'll just put it up and encourage them that we have a lot of agricultural production in the country within the next 12 months. Apart from that, we have a lot of technology in Zambia, or we have a lot of people that are able to come up with a lot of technology, I would say, platforms. And also, apart from that, we also have enough citizens that have innovative and creative ideas. So we'd encourage all those, and leave it open for all those that are able to come up with all those things.
Okay, so Nika Dita PY is saying, Mr. Finance Minister, good. As a country, we don't need to pump too much money to defense force. Yes, they need a good training as men in uniform, but we are not at war or in danger of war with anyone. As you say, the budget for health sector needs to be increased. I agree with you. Now, do you think it is worthwhile to increase it under people who are well known their corruptness, like Valyanji Kwite?
Well, we need to ensure that, the literacy level of our people is very high, so that we are able to question most of these things, like I mentioned. It is so hard for us to invest mostly in these things, but we can't deny ourselves the people's health because we are scared of corruption and the corruptive activities that go around the country. Would to invest into health and have people be accounted or be accountable for whatever it is that they are using money for. So we still need to invest money in health, in the health sector, because I don't know, they will deny people's well-being or people's health if we choose to deny to invest into the health sector because of corruptive activities.
Paul Senjo Daka says, Mr. Minister, what do you think about investing in the revision of the education curriculum, replacing the physiology of a grasshopper and life cycle of a frog, which have no applicability in the real world, with things that matter? I feel if we change the mindset and thinking pattern of the citizenry from the grassroots, we will not only grow the myopic generation that overlooks issues that matter to concerned citizens who are able to interpret national issues like budgets and effects of implementation, something like that. So what would you your response to that?
I would agree highly with Mr. Daka. You know, I don't, not to insult the education curriculum, but I don't really see the essence of teaching a student or a pupil something to do, say, like he's mentioned, a grasshopper.
It's
When
because
we can.
It's because you're studying economics. There are people that are studying biology that find that information useful.
No. But to some level, you're cutting me short. Let me finish. So I think the best channel to take is, it would be helpful for the nation to ensure that we start picking those professional courses at a young age. Say if I've had a passion to do with entrepreneurship, why don't we have classes to do with entrepreneurship? If my next neighbor is passionate about, say, mines, why doesn't he start doing a course in line with mines? You know, we've been trained in a way such that even most of the irrelevant things that are not going to be helpful to most people, or to me personally, we are taught those things, and you end up, I feel you end up wasting time. So it could help if we start at a young age. We have grade 12 that are able to make up projects, grade 12 that are able to make up applications, you know, and like how the curriculum has been set up.
Chisenga Meja is saying, don't you think that Zambia should have a ministry of maintenance for it to be looking after all the GRZ properties, e.g. institution?
I wouldn't think that would be a good idea, because to some extent, I feel it's the responsibility of you as a person. Say if I'm given a company car which is government owned, it is me to take care of it, knowing that is property of the government. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, you don't need someone to monitor you, but it's a discipline that you need to have as yourself. I mean, if it's moral that you need to have as a Zambian, as a worker that is working for the government, we'll end up starting to unnecessarily spend money if we start, because what that ministry will create, or whoever it is that will be working for that ministry, needs to be paid, and we're trying to cut on all costs as much as possible as we can.
Joseph is asking, my question is, why our government can't just do the production in some mining instead of depending on Chinese? At least youths can be employed.
I need to read that question again.
So the question is there. It says, my question is, why can't our government just do production in some mining instead of just depending on Chinese? At least many youths can be employed.
Okay, so what I've discovered is that because they have understood the level of how much they put into the education sector, such that they have little to no trust with people that are theirs. Okay, so they would rather invest in someone foreign because they have been praised that they're able to deliver as much as possible, and like invest in much into a Zambian say miner that we have. It's really sad that we've had such a mentality when it comes to employing or giving contracts to people. We need to invest more into Zambia because the money will stay into Zambia and it's going to help improve our economy at the end of the day.
I feel like the minister is on a hot seat. His answers are kind of raw, maybe, but Chase, they kind of broader beyond his portfolio, but we are watching. So the minister is responding, defending his presentation of the budget. Just like this is Maliki Skayomia. Maliki is saying, just like you said, Mr. Minister, we have a lot of land not being used, and it would be worthwhile to invest in farming and raise money for the country and boost the economy. It can help bring back our lost value. Do you have any comments to that, Mr. Minister?
It is quite true. Like we said, I believe we still have the capability, we still have the manpower to ensure that the agriculture sector is put on the map, just like mining. We're able to ensure that Zambia produces the best products when it comes to maize bran, when it comes to fruits, when it comes to seedlings as well. We're able to do that and help supply to even the entire Africa. You know what I mean? Knowing we have 56% of land that is fertile.
If the Minister of Finance, your colleague, Mr. Ngandu, called you this evening and said, I'm drafting a budget for Zambia, what is that one thing that you'd say to him? What would be your recommendation?
My recommendation would be, firstly, to ensure that we as a country are kept in the budget to start with. Like I mentioned, we are kept in the budget. They should put in mind that they're making a budget for citizens, and they're making a budget for Zambians, and they're making a budget for people that they go to save at least for five years plus. You know what I mean? So I'd advise him to ensure that he improves the health sector and education, because these are the key elements to a developing country.
I don't know if I did read this. This is coming from Chongwe. Joined late, but would like to know what the best plan can be to encourage small businesses to fight off foreign companies that are taking up small business opportunities and allowing revenue to flow within our country, that it can going back to those countries. I don't know if you're able to pick what he's trying to communicate.
Yeah, I get it.
So as a minister, how local businesses?
Pardon? You
as a minister of finance, in your 2021 budget, how would you protect the local businesses from what Chongwe has indicated there?
Okay, so I beg your pardon. The first thing that we need to do is we need to ensure that we develop the appropriate tariffs and quotas that would encourage the local industries, and also we also ensure that we cut on some of the taxes that we have on the newly or infant industries, as they call them. We cut on them, and we channel certain amounts of money into those infant industries so that they may able to boost up their businesses as they start, and later on as they break even, they start giving back the money into the economy again to help the economy back again.
I don't know what Nika. Okay, Nika is back. Nika is saying, don't you think that we need to fight that these big boys should not be going out of Zambia, but seek medical attention within Zambia? Pantu, as long as they continue going out, will remain Pamawe. If we increase the budget to health sector and they still fly out for medical assistance, Ninshi still in 5 steps backwards by equality. What do you think?
I think I've made mention several times that we need to start soldering up when it comes to accountability of how money is spent. So if we're going to say we allocate 15% of the national budget portion to health, we need to ensure that it is kept accounted for. And mostly, I think we had a question that had to do with the health sector and corruptive acts in the country. I don't think it would be fair for us to deny the well-being or the portion of the health to the Zambian citizen if we are going to say, oh, we can't invest much into the health because we're scared of corrupt activities that go around the country. At the end of the day, we still need to think of people in rural areas that can't easily access health care. And the reason why we're trying to increase the amount of health is because we want to ensure that our Zambian people are having easily access to health facilities, and also there's medicine highly available for everyone, and it's easily accessible. You don't need connections for you to get medicine in a hospital.
In your budget, was there money for presidential initiative for the president to be donating at markets? Was there money for the president to be giving at rallies? Was there money? If it was, how much was that and why?
It was 5%, and it was under social protection, which the reason was because at the end of the day, like we mentioned, most people in the Zambian economy are informal employees, and the little money that you'd give to whoever it is you mentioned market and people that are informally employed would really help sustain their lives. So that's the reason why we added it into the budget.
How much percentage was that?
5%.
8%.
5.
Why? 5%. Why?
Because it's not something that we can't do without. You know, this money can also be
Minister, Honorable, I think we can do away with presidential initiative funds because the entire budget is a presidential initiative. It's if the budget is not good enough to respond to the needs of the people, what is 5% going to do? There's a mosquito that is trying troubling me. Mosquitoes, I don't want to kill you. I know you have a family, okay? Mr. Minister, what I'm trying to say is the entire budget has to respond to the needs and the aspirations of the people. If the entire budget does not respond to those accurately,
the reason why we put in the 5% isn't because it's not going to respond to all the needs of the citizens of Zambia. We all know that it would respond highly to all the needs of the Zambian people, but I repeat, but the amount that was allocated was just to ensure that we cushion most of these not unemployed, informal workers that we've had or that we have in the country, knowing we've been told very well that the Zambian economy is mostly helped, or most people that contribute in the Zambian economy are the informal employed people.
Chad Tuala Masite. Just a thought, Mr. Minister. Why can't we do away with these foreign supermarkets like ShopRites and other foreign eating places, bars, and replace them with our own so as to boost our economy?
That's a very good question. To some extent, that could be a good idea, but if we say we completely do away with them, would attract something we call trade war. I don't know if I have to explain trade war.
Sorry? No. You want to charge satisfaction.
Would attract trade war, and I don't think that would be a good thing, knowing we also have some of the either Zambian companies or Zambian products that are sold in other countries. So it is a way of balancing out international markets. That's why we have such malls. But what we can do is we can find a way of encouraging people in Zambia to highly consume the local products that are being produced in Zambia, and as opposed to consuming most of the foreign goods that we import into the country.
Somebody saying, Mr. Minister, sir, the youth can do a lot in farming, but we need the land this time. The CF need more money from us. Help us to have land, and you see development in Zambia. That's what this gentleman is saying. In your budget, was there anything to do with giving land to the youth?
Yes, that is part of the youth empowerment program that we set aside as a government, because we believe we have so much land that can be used up, and not only for the youth but for every other citizen, any other Zambian citizen that can benefit and has knowledge when it comes to the core of agriculture.
Glenn says this government is broke, very broke. Is that true?
I highly deny if this government is highly broke. I would say there's just a lot of misallocation of funds, and because of misallocation of funds, we find ourselves dealing with problems that we can manage to sort out. We choose to ignore them until we'll sort them out in the future. Hence, because we choose to postpone all our problems, and we choose to misuse our funds and misallocate them, we tend to run out of money, because we can't allocate the money at the right time in the right place where it's supposed to be used.
So how much in your budget have you allocated towards fighting corruption and misuse of resources?
You agree with me that if we say we allocate money directly into fighting corruption, I feel it can be taken. It can take forever. Okay, so the best to do is encourage people to have knowledge on what rights they have, so that they are able to know where to come in when it comes to accountability of how the government is being run and how things are supposed to be as a government. Apart from that, we need to have, just like we have had campaigns on how the bulletin is supposed to be, or how we had campaigns on trying to understand how the bulletin is consisted of. We need to have initiatives that would break down not only the budget, but every other component that has to do with every Zambian, the constitution, the budget, because it is made for the Zambians, and a Zambian is supposed to it's supposed to be as simple as possible for any layman Zambian to understand.
Masene Sebastian is asking, he says he joined this discussion very late, but I wonder if the question was answered on how the government will tackle the issue of retirees getting their pension at a later date than expected. Did you have that in your budget, Mr. Minister?
Yes, I did. We had an allocation for funds for people that are retirees, because at the end of the day, it's their money, and it could be so unfair if we decide not to give back money that belongs to their owners. It will be stealing. So yes, there was an allocation for money that has to be given to retirees, and it has to be given to them on time.
What percentage was that?
Pardon?
What percentage did you allocate to servicing this debt?
The percentage that we to service the debt?
Where you said you pay retirees.
Okay, it was at 6.
6%. Okay, good. What has been your strategy with regards to youth empowerment? And is youth empowerment restricted to farming, particularly fish farming and Black Mountains? Mr. Minister, you have to be very specific when responding to these questions. People still can't get what your proposition is. So Nicholas is asking, what has been your strategy with regards to youth empowerment? And is youth empowerment restricted to farming, particularly fish farming and Black Mountains?
We can't restrict our strategy only to fish farming and Black Mountain. So it's funny because you see,
your microphone has moved away from your mouth, so the sound quality is a little bad.
Okay, how's it? Okay, so as I was mentioning, we can't restrict the youth with full potential to do things that they are not capable of doing, which brings us back to the question that we had concerning the curriculum of education that we've had. We have specific youth that have the skill to do fish farming. We also have a specific amount of youth that are able to go to Black Mountain. Just like we have those specific youth that are able to do that, we also have specific youth that are able to deal with technological issues. We also have people that can do construction. We also have youth that can do mechanics and all these other things. So what strategy do we have? The strategy that we have is, we have in the budget, we actually had a segment that was handling just youth empowerment, a youth empowerment program that would just look at how to help the youth in the country by supporting most of them, by giving them an allocated equal amount of money to help encourage them, because this could also help bring in revenue into the country, because most of these products that we might manufacture, say as a technological sector of youth, we make, say, cars, or we make chargers, we're able to export them into other countries. So it's something that we had.
Inambao Patrick Mwikisa says, Mr. Minister, with the current depreciation of the kwacha against foreign convertibles, will your government consider introducing a 200 kwacha banknote at any given time? What is your take on the 5 and 10 ingwe as compared to the previous 50 and 100 kwacha respectively? Would you agree that coins have a negative impact of the power of our currency today?
Okay, so that's a good question, especially the first one, which is asking about considering introducing a 200 kwacha note. It is really not necessary to introduce a new note because it will just it won't have an effect on the economy, but it will just be a way of holding a lot of money into one note. What I mean is this: currently, the inflation that we are at is 15.1%, if I'm not mistaken. So meaning the 100 kwacha that we have currently is valuing at 80 kwacha. I don't know if that's making sense.
Yeah,
You understand what I mean? Yeah. So the amount of money that we have, we can't add another note to try to solve the problem, but we can deal with the problem that we have currently now, which is the depreciation or the devaluing of the kwacha. And the solution to this is only by finding a way of how to make our economy, our currency stronger again, and also try by all means to ensure that the money that we're producing or the products that we're producing in Zambia is being encouraged and being consumed by Zambians, and also the income taxes are reduced, unlike having a new note that is brought in. My take on the 15 ways and the 10 way, I feel every currency is necessary in a country because it is from the same currencies that we have that help with trade, and they help with helping the economy when it comes to the issue to do with the trade. So I don't think it is really necessary for us to remove the 15 ways and the 10 ways in the economy.
Okay, so we literally have come to the end of the program, but I'll give you seconds to wrap up your presentation, and I usually ask my guests to give their action to the public, and obviously to those that are in leadership that are listening. As the Minister of Finance,
Sorry, I can't hear you.
We've come to the end of the program, but I will ask you to make your last remarks, and these last remarks must be in form of a call to action to the people that are watching you. And what is it that you'd like them to do? What is it that you'd like them to start doing or start thinking about? And obviously to the government, what is it that you feel they must do? What is it that you feel that they must start working on? What is your input? You can close with that in mind.
Okay, I feel we as Zambian people need to be patriotic when it comes to our country, because we'll only be given a chance to have one country. There's no other Zambia that we will have. There's no other Zambia that will ever be given again. So it is you and I that have to take part in ensuring that there's accountability of our country and there's safety net at the end of the day, because we are creating a system that will also be used by people in the next generation. So we need to ensure that we treasure this country as much as possible as we can and keep it diligently. It is you and I that can only ensure that our country is well taken care of, and it's you and I that can ensure that the Zambia that we are looking for, or the Zambia that we wish to have, is brought to book and is brought to life.
Thank you very much, Mr. Minister. Thank you very much for agreeing to be with us. Thank you very much to our viewers who've participated, asked intelligent questions and all that. Tomorrow we are back here again, and I'm also again hosting another young person who will be sharing their budget, and again we'll interrogate, we'll ask them questions and engage them. Like I just said, the idea for this program, the objective for this program is to allow the public to understand that a budget is a public document, is a document for the people. And if we, the people, pay attention to what the minister will be presenting, it will be easier for us to hold our leaders accountable going forward, because we will have known that, okay, this is what was budgeted for, and this is where is this coming from? How come we are using this much money when this much money was not in the budget? Or this is what was budgeted for, and what we've gotten is not what was budgeted for. If you know what was budgeted for, it's easier for you to even understand what the Auditor General will present at the end of that year. So the budget is a very important document, and if the public is to engage the government on how it spends money, it must start from the budget. You must understand what the budget is. And if you're very interesting, you can even start from what they call the strategic plan. So you start from the strategic plan. What is the strategic plan saying? What is it that they are projecting to achieve? What is it that the government is projecting to achieve in this period of time? So like we have the 7th development plan. What is it that the government is trying to achieve within this period of time? The strategic plan for Zambia is more like a blueprint of what we aspire to get to have or to be, or where we aspire to be as a country. And it's what informs the budget. So the budget is responding to the issues that have been indicated in the strategic plan. So if you are interested in understanding the budget, if you are interested in understanding the accountability process of this country, then you must be interested in the strategic plan, which is available online, and the budget will be available online. So you start from there, because the budget is your document. The budget is a people's document. It is the budget that discusses your thing. So we have a duty to understand the budget, to follow the budget. Tomorrow I am back at the same time, and I'll be speaking to another young person, and we'll continue engaging and discussing the budget. Thank you very much for tuning in, and have a good night. Ngamle faya mulale buino, ngamle faya mwidala buino, lwenu.